Could Bitcoin be heading for a pump very soon? Let's get into the charts. Welcome back to Max Trades Crypto. Today we're going to be seeing if Bitcoin is indeed going for a pump over the weekend or possibly into next week. So, starting on our 1 hour time frame, these are all the scenarios that you should be looking out for over the weekend to come. So, on our first scenario on the chart, we have our WXY correction, our larger one, where we are looking at the moment for a W down, an X up, and a Y to the downside. This is a corrective structure before we are going to get that massive last move up in the bull market, followed by those moves down in the bear, right? Our last move up is going to be quite a lot stronger than the previous, and I do expect something along the lines of a blow off top, but that is to talk about when the time comes. So after this WXY move, we should be getting a move towards the upside. Now, if we are to look at what a WXY is a standard corrective structure, ABC. Normal corrective structure is an ABC, except inside an ABC we have 5 waves in A, 3 waves in B, and 5 waves in wave C, right? But the differences between an ABC and a WXY is that a WXY is, instead of 5 waves down, 3 waves up, and 5 waves down, we have 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and 3 waves down. Now, if we go back to our chart and look at what is actually going on here, we have a 3-wave structure down in wave W, followed by, or looking for, a 3-wave structure down up in wave X, and then followed by another 3-wave structure down in wave Y. At the moment, inside our wave W, we have a WXY in the middle, followed by a WXY possible in wave Y, and then, or in wave X, and then followed by another ABC structure in wave Y. So that is our main scenario on the chart. At the moment, if we do zoom into this mess over here, we could be looking at some form of 3-wave corrective structure, something along the lines of this, that is about to be finished in the wave W. Followed by this, we could get a wave X and then a wave Y into our support region, right? But this is a very, very choppy, very, very messy. But this was not part of our trades. In the Discord and over the YouTube videos, we did indeed say long from this target box over here, and we are still in that trade currently. You can go and see in our Discord channel in our trade section. We are still long from this trade currently, and currently in a bit of a percentage. Doesn't mean we need to make moves on every single move, right? This is a very choppy structure, so lots of money could be lost, but trading at these good support regions are very, very strong, right? So that is on our main scenario on the 1 hourly time frame. Then our secondary scenario on the 1 hour time frame is that we are still in a WXY, except just a little bit differently structured. Instead of the WXY or WXY, we have a W that ends over here instead of over here. So a W followed by an X and then a wave Y, right? Inside this wave X, we have something called an expanding flat. An expanding flat is also a corrective structure that looks like this: an A wave up, a B wave that takes out the low of the A wave, followed by a C wave to the upside that takes out the high of wave A. Now, if we look at what we have on our chart, we have the A wave up, the B wave that takes out the low of wave A, followed by a 5-wave structure in wave C. We are looking for a 5-wave move there. So how does this 5-wave move often look? Often, if we look at how Elliott Wave is formed, we often have multiple 1-2s that end up forming some form of channel, followed by a big breakout, and then another channel in the 4-5s, right? So if we are seeing these 1-2s at the moment, we are looking for that on our chart, which we see quite often in quite a bit of overlap. 1-2, 1-2, and So 1 2 1 2 1 2, and we could be forming that some form of channel here, followed by a big breakout, then the 4 5 4 5 4 5, finishing that wave C on the chart. That could be how our X wave could look in the next little bit or over the next few days. Followed by that, we find one more wave down in the wave W, or in the wave Y, A, B, C, down. Then our last scenario on the chart is our most bearish scenario that is looking less and less likely, where we have a 1-1-1-2. The invalidation for this 1-1-1-2 would indeed be this high over here at 113,446, and a hard invalidation at 117,414. Right? This is where the high takes out the low of the wave 2, or in this case the high of the wave 2. So we have a 1 2 1 2 1 2, like that channel that we have been creating. Followed by this, we should see a massive move down, followed by the 3 4 5 4 5 4 5. Right? This is becoming less and less likely just due to the amount of time that we are sitting in these corrective structures. Wave 2 is very sharp. Wave 2 in the sub degree was even longer than this wave 2 in the higher degree. The recent wave 2 is the longest of them all. This pattern is unlikely. Normally the first wave 2 is the longest period in time, followed by smaller time periods of wave 2s, but this is occurring in the opposite way. So unlikely scenario here on the chart, but still need to keep it in mind in case we have an impulse to the downside. Now, for trade possibilities on the chart, right, we are going to look at only 4-hour possibilities today, and obviously for the rest of this series, right? We don't want to look at anything lower than 4-hour just because of the risk involved. So we need to, when looking at trade possibilities, look at confluences. What is happening on multiple different charts or multiple different indicators that are leading me to a positive trade, right? So let's quickly look at trend lines. So currently on the trend line side, we are breaking out on the 1-hour time frame of this move, or this triangle here, right? A possible move to the upside is then imminent. Number one, trend line's possible move to the upside. Now, support and resistance, we are once again climbing above, or possibly above, we're just sitting below the entire support region, but possibly climbing above this resistance here. This what has been resistance and support many times in the past. You can see here that we touched here once, twice, 3, 4, and used it as support 5 times, right? If this went down and we retested and looked for a move towards the downside, that would be a short trade, right? But price is not retesting it so easily. We're actually ending up climbing quite a bit now, almost breaking back above it. Okay, so number one, trend lines going positive. Number two, support and resistance going positive. Now, let's quickly look at fair value gaps. If we just do a brief analysis on fair value gaps on the 4-hourly time frame, we cannot see many fair value gaps here that are needing to be filled out. The only fair value gap that I see on the chart is over here on the 4-hour time frame, right? You can see that over there. That's the only fair value gap I see at the moment that is not touched at all. So are we possibly going to fill up that fair value gap? Okay, so trend lines, support and resistance, and fair value gap sitting above us, right? Multiple things towards the upside. Then, if we look at the USDT dominance chart, a chart that is inversely correlated with Bitcoin, meaning that if Bitcoin goes up, this chart goes down. If this chart goes up, Bitcoin goes down. Now, on this chart, we are breaking towards the downside from a area that has been retested multiple times, right? We are looking at a triangle up and we are now breaking down from it. Now, what does this mean? Bitcoin is then in for a move towards the upside. So if we go back to our Bitcoin chart, this is the reason we went for a trade on this area at the bottom here, right? You can see it in our Discord. There's a trade from the 0.618 level down here at around $108,000, right? So if we're looking at that and looking at all these positive influences and go back to our main scenario on the chart, the likelihood that this is going to play out is very, very high. Then our trade possibility would be shorting from the 0.618 at $117,600, right? If you've already missed this trade over here, it is quite risky to go into another trade. Another trade is possible from a support region in the middle here, trading this X and then waiting for the move up in wave Y. Right, very, very possible there. But on the 4-hourly time frame, shorting from the 0.618 at $117,653 would be my main trade at the moment. That would mean on the USDT chart, we come into this area of support, this bottom fib levels, and on our trend lines and time frame, we wait for the entire move that is occurring now to play out. Right, because we weren't in the trade from the beginning. So that is it for trade possibilities today. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Do enjoy your weekend. It is probably going to be a slow weekend. The likelihood that we get a pump in the wave Y or wave W a little bit to end today, followed by a slow wave X weekend, followed by a big wave Y move next week is high. So do trade safe, but it's been Max Trades Crypto. Cheers, guys.